Welcome everybody to the December 20th, 2021 meeting of the Newcastle Environmental Review Board. I'm Jonathan Rosenblum, chair of the board. With us also is David Horowitz and Ted Holmes. Record will reflect that so far at least Ivan Alter and Chris Roberta are absent. Although Chris's term expired, Dennis?
Yep.
So he's not formally on the board anymore. Okay, so we are missing only Ivan.
Correct.
First order of business is the approval of the minutes from the meeting of September 20th, 2021. Either of you, David or Ted, have any questions, comments on the minutes?
Do not, no.
No, Ted?
I do not have any comments
Okay.
or questions.
I'll entertain a motion to approve the minutes.
Motion to approve.
Second,
All in favor?
aye.
Minutes are approved. There is one application on the agenda tonight for approval, and it is at 1 Pondfield Drive, Sue Young Lee. And Ms. Lee is here. And Dennis, why don't you give us a summary of what's involved? I think there's a little bit of background on this property in the board, correct?
Yes. In 2015, before my time, there was a permit number 15-403, 4 zeros and a 3, 0003, that approved a garage addition and an extra room at the front of the house, slightly expanded foyer and bathroom. At least it doesn't really specify in the wetlands permit. I looked up on our municity database. It had the garage at about 400 square feet, and then in describing the extra room, which was the slightly expanded foyer and bathroom, it said the phrase was not to exceed 800 square feet. It wasn't clear if that was all expanded footprint or if that had something to do with the internal configuration or making non-living space living space. But at the end of the day, what was approved then, and why I had asked Ms. Lee to include it in this application, because I thought it was relevant. You might have seen stapled to sheet A4, she was able to get me a copy of the mitigation plan that was completed in 2015. And you see the location relative to the stream of the mitigation that was completed. And it just so happens that when I did inspect the property for the first time, when I met Ms. Lee and her architect, that I was pleased to see that that mitigation site is still there and more than just recognizable. It's been cared for and seems to be functioning and doing quite well.
Good. So from what you could see, was any other conditions of the permit complied with, and any issues there, or?
None. And I had made a suggestion that, I'd say in consideration of, A, the location of the previous mitigation plan, and B, its success, and C, that, it's something that the board, obviously liked and approved prior. That should be a consideration going forward for the mitigation for this, new deck project as well.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so then why don't you just take us through what the applicant wants to do with respect to the deck?
Sure. So, I mean, I would say generally, obviously not exactly. It's not a perfect in-kind replacement, but in the location of the existing deck, I guess we're looking at a what I would just call a tear down and construction of a new deck, and it shows that there's going to be a slight increase in the square footage. I believe it was 40 square feet increase from about 560 to 600. It looks like that increase has to do with the, I guess, shape, for lack of a better description.
Those two bump outs?
Instead of just being all cornered and squared off or rectangled off, exactly, it's going to have those two circular ends. So that was what the increase in square footage was. So the applicant, in submitting the plans and then coming up with an area of mitigation, as you could see on A4, there were some existing trees to contend with, but they found an area between those two trees, and it seems to be I guess it would be for the increase in the square footage relative to the existing deck. It's I guess about a 3-to-1 ratio of mitigation to new impact.
Mm-hmm. That's great. And you've gone over what they're proposing to plant, et cetera, with them, and
Yes, it looked very similar to what they had proposed prior, and that seems to have done well. So I'm more than happy to continue with what's working when it comes to vegetation and botanicals. So I was okay with that.
what's the existing deck made of? Is it wood?
That's correct. It
I
is.
believe so.
It is. I'm sorry.
Mm-hmm.
No, thank you.
And you're proposing to replace it with Trex?
Correct.
David, how do the structural drawings look to you?
They look good. Yep, looks like it was thought out well. The one question I had was just under the deck itself. Are you doing anything with stone or something like that, so as the water drips through, and any I don't know what the grading is in that area, but just to keep the soil from running off?
Oh, I don't recall what my architect said about underneath it, but there's nothing that I think there has been some things that we've done in the previous construction to deal with some of the runoff. I can't recall off the top of my head, but we didn't put any stone structure or anything underneath there. It's closed off, and it hasn't posed a problem with the existing deck at all.
Is it level under the deck, or does it slope away, or
No, it's level. Yeah.
it's level? Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Sometimes you put either gravel or stone or something underneath it, so as the water drips through, it doesn't create any runoff or drainage underneath the deck into the yard if it's graded.
Yeah, it hasn't been a problem thus far, a sample, but there's been no degradation of the soil.
Oh, okay. So is it just dirt under the existing deck, or?
Yeah, it's like kind of sandy, dirty dirt stuff. I don't know
You're
exactly what the
freezing
material is. It's not
intermittently.
actually soil. There's some kind of, oh, am I? I'm sorry. It's kind of sandy in there. I apologize. Can you hear me?
Yes. Yeah. Do we want to specify that they should put down some gravel or something under there, David?
So
I
I
mean,
would only suggest that if the yard slopes in a way that, any rainwater starts to, wash away the soil into the yard, if it's flat, then, and she doesn't have any issues with it now, that's up, up to the applicant. It just has a tendency to stop the mud and the dirt from splashing around and running away in a heavy rain.
no, I know there's gravel under my deck, and every time I go under there and run a hose or something, I love the fact that it just drains right away and I don't have to worry about it being muddy. So,
Yeah.
Um,
But that's,
okay, any other questions? Ted?
No, I didn't have any questions.
Okay, well, I think, given the relatively small amount of disturbance and the fact that this is largely just replacement in kind of an existing deck, I don't see any issues with it. I think the way the mitigation that Dennis has described is generous. And given the fact that the applicant has a track record with us of performing required mitigation, in a pretty good way, I see no problem in approving this as it is at this point. So unless anybody else has an issue,
motion to
we
approve.
accept the application. Direct
Second
Dennis
the
to go
motion to
issue the,
accept.
Issue the permit. All in favor?
Aye.
Thank
All
you
right.
so much. I
Great.
really appreciate it.
No, it's our pleasure. Thank you.
Yeah, no,
Good
luck.
thanks everyone. And thanks Dennis too. I can't see you, but I appreciate everyone's help.
Yeah,
Happy
he's still there.
holidays. Okay,
You
happy
too.
New Year.
Happy holidays to you too.
All right, take care. Should I leave now or?
You can stay. We're not going to be around much.
Oh, no, it's okay. Okay,
It's the only item on the
I'll let you
agenda.
go. All right, take care, everyone.
Take care.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Okay. Actually, the only other thing that I would want to say for the record, Dennis, in your packet that you sent to the members, you had a schedule for next year's meetings.
Yes,
Was that something that's posted publicly somewhere also? Is it on the on the town
that will
website?
be. Yeah, I usually have Carrie Krams post the schedule for next year as well.
Okay. And just for the record, you can tell people who, if there's anybody listening in, where they can find that schedule.
Sure, I believe Carrie, she's supposed to put it on, I guess it goes on the town, on the events calendar, along with the planning board meetings and the conservation board meetings. It should show up once a month, every applicable Monday.
Okay. Good.
The only other comment I was going to make, which I didn't put on the agenda, and I guess Ivan's not here, so I'll have to reach out to him separately. So in checking the terms, so you're good, Chair Rosenblum, till November of 2023, November 13th to be exact. David was extended, and his term doesn't expire till November 14th, 2022. Ivan's expired on December 11th, 2021. And Ted, I know you were back on May 7th, 2021. And what I wanted to discuss was that at the last Conservation Board meeting, Lori Morton was in attendance because she also sits on the BAB. And a couple of members of the Conservation Board were about to expire. And when they brought it up at the meeting, I said, oh, okay, I will, look into contacting Jill and, getting it on the agenda for the town board just to have your, terms extended, or renewed, assuming that, you want to continue serving on the conservation board. And Lori had chimed in and said, well, technically, Dennis, the way that we're trying to work this going forward is that everyone needs to reapply. And that, we understand, that there may or may not be other applicants, but they just want to go through that procedure because I guess through time, they've run into trouble where, people are on the board and, they're no longer with us on this earth. They're trying to, move away from, it becomes a permanent position and somebody's there for 20 years and it's difficult to have anybody else come in. So what I will do for your benefit, Ted, and I will also do for Ivan, is I do have a quick link for that form. And I would just, I guess, ask that you guys formally submit that. And I believe that would go to Tiffany White, who's Jill Shapiro's assistant. And then the way it's supposed to work from there, from what I'm told, is the town board reviews the applications, and then they're the ones that do the approvals to have the board members, either be placed on the board or to continue their service by, going into another term.
We don't want to make it too hard for anybody, though, Dennis.
I would agree. I was a little.
Otherwise, we're likely to drive Ted away if we make it too onerous. And who knows? Maybe that's why Ivan didn't show up tonight, because he knows his term is over.
No, the quick link? The quick link is just something that we fill out online. Is that what?
Exactly. It's I had to find it. It wasn't so readily available, but when I found it, I'm like, I'll just share that with you guys, since it took me just a small effort to find it. And I did check with Lauren Cascone, who also is she was a former assistant to Jill, and she's at all the town board meetings. And I asked her, I says, do you recall any resolutions, because nobody ever forwarded me a copy, approving Ted to continue for another term on the Environmental Review Board? And she couldn't recall or find either. So I said, okay, so I guess I'm going to have to extend to him to also, do the reapply procedure. So.
Okay.
So that's the policy moving forward, I guess, for now.
All right.
So I will get that to you.
And, we still have one vacancy, even assuming Ivan resurfaces and re-ups, we still have one vacancy on the board. And we had an applicant. I think I mentioned to you guys a few months ago that there was somebody who said he was interested. After I had one conversation with him and suggested that he take a look at some of our minutes and maybe a couple of videos to get a feel for what we really do, I never heard back from him. And I don't think anybody at Town Hall has heard back from him either. So I did have a brief discussion with Dennis last week about maybe it's time to publish the fact that we've got an opening, like the town board, like the planning board has done, and a couple of other advisory boards that had openings. They were advertised on the town newsletter. So I think we should probably do that.
I did draft something. I did draft last week. I kind of drafted that request, and I didn't get a chance to just do a quick proofread of it today, and I was gonna literally walk it over to the town administrator assistant Tiffany and say, like you just said, what you just what was, I just want to make sure this is approved to post to the newsletter, requesting, for another board member, because the applicant who originally answered, we're not getting anywhere with him. So once I have that, I'll get Carrie Krams to post that on the newsletter.
Okay.
Perfect.
Good. Other than that, I think we're finished with the business for tonight. So.
Was easy.
Yeah. Yep. So we can entertain a motion to adjourn and say happy holidays to everybody and
Thank-
go about it. So,
See you next year.
Yeah,
absolutely.
Yeah,
Who's
happy
making the
holidays.
all good.
Ted, you move, you
Motion.
making the motion?
Motion to, motion to adjourn.
Second.
All in favor? All right, guys.